Don't compare yourself to others. And this is so key because wherever we're at in our career as an appraiser, there's always going to be somebody that's better than us, or more skilled, I should say, not better, just more skilled. And then there's always going to be someone who's probably a little less skilled.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
And welcome back to the program. Each and every one of you, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the growth that we've experienced over the last year. It's just super exciting. Have a great guest, a good friend of mine. Can't wait to introduce you. First, want to do a quick shout out, if you will, to each of our sponsors. Alamode, of course, is the software that I've been using for over 20 years to help me to produce wonderful and efficient appraisal products. It's alamode.com or 800 Alamode for more information. Datamaster, saving me time, saving me money. Boy, folks, I'm telling you, do the math, 30 to 60 minutes on every report that you do. Check them out at datamasterusa.com, datamasterusa.com. And finally, Working RE is where I get the information that, a lot of the information I share here, folks. If you want to hear it first, you want to hear it from the horse's mouth, Working RE is where you go. It's workingre.com. One more time, sign up for their free blog at workingre.com. I want to welcome back to the program, good friend of mine, Mr. Jamie Owen of Aspen Appraisal Services, Cleveland Appraisal Blog, Home Valuation Stories on your podcast. Welcome back, Jamie.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, Dustin. It's great to see you again.
Likewise, man. I tell you, this pandemic has kept us cooped up. Hopefully, things are starting to open back up again, and I can't wait to see you again in person. Give you a big hug, man.
Oh, definitely. I look forward to that. Hopefully, it's coming soon. The vaccines are out there. So.
Hope so too. And I've probably mentioned this to you before, but man, I'm jealous of your voice. You've got the perfect radio voice. You and Timmy.
Oh, right? No. Thank you very much.
All right, folks, we're going to dive into a topic that I think is very timely. There's a lot of change happening in the appraisal world. Change is scary for people. Jamie, you and I were talking off the air before we hit the record button about when this pandemic first hit. And I think you and I had this similar, idea that, oh no, what's this going to mean for appraisals, for the lending work, for interest rates, for everything else? Of course, what I thought, and I don't know what you thought, but what I thought is the exact opposite of what actually ended up happening in 2020. And it seems like this is rolling around in 2021. But before we dive into the topic today, talk to me about, in general, what your experience. I know you talk to other appraisers, you rub shoulders with them, you are an appraiser, an active boots on the ground appraiser. What is the general feeling and consensus right now about what's going on in the appraisal world?
It really depends on the appraiser that you talk to, but I think a lot of appraisers are concerned about like appraisal waivers and that kind of thing, not necessarily doing away with our business, but having a major impact in it. So there's that concern, but then there's others that they're just getting out of lending altogether, trying to get into private work. So there's the whole gambit.
I just did a refi. My wife and I just did a refi on our primary residence, and I waited for that call for the appraiser, and I finally called the lender. Actually, emailed the lender and said, "Hey, I've not heard anything from the appraiser." Oh, that's already in. Wow. Okay. Can you share the appraisal? Oh, it wasn't really an appraisal. It was an eval. I thought, okay.
Oh. That's
the wrong thing to say to an appraiser.
Yes, it is. Oh man.
All right. So there's a general consensus out there. I don't know about general consensus. I certainly hear it a little bit, and thankfully I surround myself with fairly positive appraisers, and so I don't hear it as much. But I do know that there's some, for lack of a better term, doom and gloom, some fear out there regarding where we're going as an industry. So I love the topic. And by the way, I wish I could take credit for this topic today, but I reached out to Jamie. My assistant reached out to Jamie to schedule something. And I said, you know what? We need to get Jamie back on the program and let Jamie choose whatever topic he wants to talk about. And this is the topic you chose: how to be a happy appraiser.
It really runs deep in my heart, being happy. I'm just a happy guy generally, but I have bad days too, like everyone.
Well, I noticed the very first thing when you popped on the screen. Of course, this is audio only for the listeners, but for us, when you popped on the Zoom screen, the first thing I saw was your big smile. You seem to be a very positive guy.
Oh, thank you. I really work hard at it. I do.
So we're going to go through some points here, and hopefully the listeners will be able to follow. And I hope to implement some of these things in their life, because I'll tell you, Jamie, not to start out negative, but I think just to put it out there on the table, fear, change. Trepidation about the future. I'm telling you, that can have not just an effect on your day, but effect on your health long term. I mean, again, I don't want to turn this negative, but I've known more than my share of appraisers who have had some really serious health conditions that I can only say have to, at least, if not directly relate, at least inadvertently relate to the stress, the lack of a good lifestyle and different things that we put ourselves in.
Yeah, it really can nickel and dime you over the years, and it can eat away at you if you let it. And years ago, I used to be the same way. Just things would annoy me and drive me nuts. And I realized I had to change because for that very reason, I haven't had any catastrophic health problems so far, but yeah, it just begins to affect everything about your outlook on life and outlook on the appraisal profession. Yeah. So yeah, it can really mess with you.
Well, I appreciate you coming and being here and giving us some advice. We're going to go through 6 points. Again, the topic today, how to be a happy appraiser. Jamie, lay it on us. Number 1.
Well, number 1 is avoiding spending too much time with negative and cynical people.
No, wait a second. We're appraisers. Aren't we surrounded by negative and cynical people?
Yes, but well, not completely, but we really have to be careful. And, sometimes we all have a bad day and we just need to vent. And we need that too. Sure. There are some people that are, right? Yeah, exactly. Just get it off your chest. And that's nothing wrong with that. I have those days too. But there are some people that they're just so negative. They can't get themselves out of it. And that can really eat away at you. I have a very good friend who is not an appraiser now. And every time I would talk to him, he was complaining about something that happened and it just sucked the life right out of me. So he ended up leaving the business and now he's like the happiest guy. Yeah. So,
appraisal isn't for everyone, right?
No, it's not.
So how do you avoid it? Because we are kind of surrounded now. Granted, some of us are very recluse and we live in our appraiser caves, and maybe we don't rub shoulders with other appraisers. I'm actually having lunch in about 2 hours with another appraiser here locally just to get to know him better. But I don't think that's the norm. I don't think most of us, actually reach out of our box, if you will, and get to know other appraisers. But we do associate with a lot of them. Some of us online. How do you avoid the negativism?
I just try to limit my intake, like with the groups, group settings. There's different groups you can join, appraisal groups. Sure. And if they get too negative, I just leave. There's a lot of great appraisers in those groups, but it just wears me out. And I will say your group, your all-star group, is fantastic. You do a nice job of keeping everyone positive. And so that's one way. And then if I'm in an appraisal class and you've got someone who's just, constantly complaining in class, I just avoid them. I'll be very nice to them. I love them. It's just, I can't.
Good for you. Yeah, we try with our all-star group. In fact, that's the number 1 rule: is stay positive. There's nothing wrong with asking a dumb question. It's still going to be answered with positivity. And you know what? Change is change, and there's many different ways to look at it. But I love this advice: avoid spending too much time. You can't avoid it, completely, unless you're married to one. So be careful there. But avoid spending too much time with. And I didn't. By the way, I wasn't implying that my wife is she's quite the opposite, ultimate positive and uplifting individual to be around, which helps drag me out of the mud sometimes too. So number 2, what's the number 2 step in how to be a happy appraiser?
So don't compare yourself to others, and this is so key because wherever we're at in our career as an appraiser, there's always going to be somebody that's better than us, or more skilled, I should say, not better, just more skilled, and then there's always going to be someone who's probably a little less skilled. So if we don't want to be intimidated. What's that again?
I like to focus on the people that are less skilled than me.
Yeah, that builds us up. No. Really, I try to think about that. Those are less skilled. I work really hard. I don't have any trainees right now, but I reach out to a lot of my local appraisers and will help them with adjustment support, or if they're in a situation where they could use a little direction. I'm always happy to share what I know. Not that it's that much, but. But if you compare yourself, you're either looking down at somebody, and that's not cool, or you feel intimidated by someone. So when I am with more skilled appraisers, I try to learn from them, and use that as an opportunity to better myself. But as soon as you start comparing yourself, you're going to be depressed.
It's tough though. I mean, I did a review this week, and I can't help but find myself thinking, well, that was dumb, and I wouldn't have done it that way. Or the opposite. Wow, I'm impressed. There's a whole lot of narrative there that I wouldn't have taken the time to write out. We take classes with other appraisers. Again, you talked about we're in these forums with other appraisers. It's really hard to avoid, I think, because it's kind of human nature in some sense to start to compare and say, well, that guy's an SRA. I guess maybe I should shut my mouth because he obviously knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, not necessarily. Although there's some fantastic SRAs, but the letters behind the name don't always guarantee it. No. It should, but it doesn't. But,
all right, number 3.
Yeah. So don't be overly sensitive. So this is kind of a tough one. As appraisers, we have to go in as a disinterested third party with the kind of work we do.
Sure.
But I feel like we're actually pretty sensitive people, maybe a little overly sensitive at times. Somebody disagrees with our opinion of value or the way that we developed something. And then they let us know that. It is so easy to just fly off the handle, feel like we're being attacked.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but really, maybe we're not being attacked. You know, they just have a difference of opinion. That's cool. That's fine.
Well, you know, let me give you an example. I think of what you're talking about. Just yesterday, I received a reconsideration of value.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's your typical. You know where I'm going with this. So I've got 3 sales in the neighborhood. They want 3 sales outside the neighborhood. You know that of course are higher than the sales in the neighborhood. 2 of the 3 are in way better condition according to online sources. And I tend. I'll be honest with you. I want to stay positive, but I tend to think, well, golly gee, I get a little sensitive sometimes when I've put that much work into an appraisal only to get it torn up by somebody that, let's be honest, has no clue what they're doing.
Yep. I totally agree. And that's why it's easier said than done. No question. But yeah, you just have to fight that and just look at it from a professional standpoint and just try not to feel like you're being attacked. Although sometimes it just drives you berserk too.
It really does, unfortunately. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Just don't let it get under your skin.
Yeah, exactly.
Too much.
And that's the key, and I think it really is a proactive choice. In other words, I think our lizard brains immediately go to offense and comparing ourselves to others, and the negativity is going to wear off. Would you agree, Jamie? It just takes an actual effort to maybe change your mindset and put things in place that allow you to stay more on a positive scale.
It takes a lot of effort, but the more you do it, you kind of train your thinking so that it does become easier. So if you kind of start getting off on a tangent, it's easier to pull yourself back out of it. But it definitely takes some work. There's no question. It's not easy.
We're speaking with Jamie Owen. He, of course, is the author of the Cleveland Appraisal blog. And folks, if you have not visited the Cleveland Appraisal blog, you're crazy. Check it out. It's clevelandappraisalblog.com. And if you're thinking, well, that's in Cleveland, no, trust me, folks, you will not be disappointed you spent the time going to clevelandappraisalblog.com. Jamie Owen, we'll get back to you in just a minute, but I want to pause here and remind everybody that we are sponsored by 3 great companies. Speaking of positive, I tell you, Working RE is positive. Every single time I get something from them, yes, they're reporting on change. Yes, they're talking about, what the future looks like, but their listenership, their readership is all about appraisal and valuation and moving forward and being on the positive side of things. Folks, if you're not signed up for their free FREE newsletter, you need to be. Go to workingre.com, wait a few seconds, wait for that little box to pop up. I know it's annoying. You don't want to see the box and you're like, I just want to exit out. Don't exit out, folks. Put your email in there. You will be glad you did. Workingre.com, workingre.com. Alamode, of course, is the software that I use every single day. Just today, I was doing a side-by-side view with I've got my addendum on one monitor, I've got my grid on another. It makes it so easy, folks, to be able to use these tools. And I know they're little things. Well, Dustin, I'm not going to change software just because of a side-by-side view, nor should you. But you add to that the Smart Adjust and the mobile and the sketching program and the integration with your photos and the comps database. I mean, I could go on and on and on, folks. If you're not using Alamode, again, you're crazy. You got to check them out. Go to alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE. Finally, we're sponsored by another great company, saving you time, saving you money. It's DataMaster. If they are in your area, folks, you got to find this out first, right? They're in most areas, but not all. You need to go to datamasterusa.com, check out their map, check out their coverage area. If they're in your area and they've got an agreement with your board of realtors, you need to be with DataMaster. They're saving time by inputting data from both public records and your MLS right into your report. You can't make human error that way. No fat fingering on the keyboard. It's an exact match into your report, and it will save you time. It will increase the quality of your report. It's datamasterusa.com. One more time, datamasterusa.com. All right, welcome back to the program. We're speaking with a good friend of mine, Jamie Owen, who's coming to us from Cleveland. Of course, clevelandappraisalblog.com. And you're doing a podcast, man. How do people find your podcast?
You can find me on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, all the major podcast sources.
Isn't that cool to say, hey, you can find me on iHeartRadio? I'm that cool that I can say that.
It does feel good. I don't know if it's really cool, but it feels pretty good.
Cool. And I've listened to your podcast. It's great information. Again, you're in Cleveland, but you're an appraiser, and the way that you make sense. And I hope you'll forgive me for this, Jamie. But I often and maybe I shouldn't admit this out loud, but I'm going to say it anyway. I often talk to my all-star team, to my dream team about creating a blog and different things, and their hesitancy is, well, I'm not a writer. I don't know what even to write about. You know what I say to them? Go to clevelandappraisalblog.com. Read a couple of things there, and it will spark some ideas.
Oh, I am honored that you said that. I really appreciate that.
Well, the things you're writing about are relevant, and that's what people want is relevant information. And not that they're going to copy your blog, but hopefully it's sparking enough interest. They're like, okay, yeah, it's something I kind of took for granted, that particular topic. But Jamie wrote about it. Maybe I can write about it in a little bit of a different way and put my own spin on it.
I think the more blogging that people do, the better. The more information that's out there is fantastic, and it's really changed my business.
Yeah, I'll bet it has. Yeah, information is king. Okay, so we're talking about how to be a happy appraiser, which is can be challenging. We've got two sides of the coin here, Jamie. When this pandemic started, I think a lot of us were thinking that our business would slow down. Of course, that worried us. It did the exact opposite. It sped up, and that worries us too.
Yes. Yeah, there's never a happy medium. Well, maybe some years are, but most years aren't.
No, it's not. It's one extreme or the other. But you've given us some great advice. Number one, of course, is avoid spending time with negative and cynical people. Number two, don't compare yourself with others. Number three, don't be overly sensitive. Lay on number 4, my friend.
Number 4 is to continue to improve your skills.
That sounds boring.
No, this is huge. This is huge because the more skills we get, the more confident we get about our work. And I really think when we do good work and we feel good about our support of our work, that makes us less sensitive. So if somebody questions us, it's like, no big deal. This is what I did. And that is such a big thing. Yeah. So I do find that less skilled appraisers are usually the crankiest.
Yeah. I was looking back just for kicks and giggles on my first couple of reports ever 25 years ago. And I'm telling you, I looked at that and I thought, I was faking it till I made it. I really was, and that doesn't bring happiness. That brings a feeling of fear. What if I'm found out? Let's be honest with you. I'm a fake appraiser. This was late 90s, different world back then, but I did some things right, but that's not a place to be. You want to continue to improve your skills and get better at what you do for sure.
Absolutely. And I'm guilty of the same thing back in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's like, we did the best we could, but there's a lot to learn.
Thank goodness for the statutes of limitations, right?
Amen.
All right. Number five to being a happy appraiser.
Yeah. Is just finding some clients that you like to work for. I am not anti-AMC. I really am not, but you have to be picky. But on the same token, for private work, not every attorney is fun to work with either. So you've got to find clients that you really enjoy working with, that you feel value you as a professional, be that an AMC or an attorney or, real estate agents, whatever the case. That is so huge.
I don't think any listeners are going to disagree with you, Jamie. I mean, any one of us would say, I would love to work for better clients. I would love to love the clients that I work for. You've heard me talk about my A clients, B clients, and Y clients. Of course, A is what you want to work for. B is maybe tolerable. There's no such thing as C, because once you get into C, it's down to Y, which means why am I working for you? And it's time to fire you. But I've been criticized for that. I've had appraisers say, Dustin, what choice do I have? I get the work that comes to me. What would you say to an appraiser like that?
Well, I'd say they should rethink that, because there is definitely other work out there. And I realize, like in a rural area, that could be more challenging. I'm in a big suburban area where there's a lot of different kinds of appraisal work that's needed. But I think you just have to start digging, start calling around, think outside the box. Who could use our valuation services? I'm sure that no matter where we live, there's got to be different aspects of our business that we can, where we can find different clients. But if you get stuck in that mentality, you're never going to change. If you just stuck inside that box.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that I teach those that I coach and mentor is something to consider is this old adage of creating a vacuum. The universe abhors a vacuum. A lot of people say, well, I need to get better clients. When I get better clients, I'll fire the bad clients that I have. What about flipping that on its head? What about getting rid of the bad clients that you have, which is going to, for lack of a better term, force you to find better clients?
Absolutely. That becomes your full-time job, looking for better clients.
Exactly. Yeah, and you meet that payroll.
When you put that kind of time into it, you'll find it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Wrap us up, man. Bring us home. Number 6.
All right. Just having an appreciative attitude. So the worst days I can ever remember in my profession, I go back to this. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I a real estate appraiser? And then I think about the flexibility that it offers me, the time I'm able to spend with my family when maybe others can't because they're tied into an 8-to-5 job. It's a fantastic living, if you do it right.
Yeah.
And so you look at all of those things and then you compare it to other fields. Man, I really appreciate this business, and I have no plans of changing it. But if you just focus on every little negative thing, there's good and bad with whatever we do. Any kind of profession's going to have its pluses and minuses, but the appraisal profession has a lot of things going for it. So,
well, I'll tell you, Jamie, one of the things that that comes to mind as you talk about all 6 of these points of how to be a happy appraiser is the word control. And what I mean by that is you are in control. You have the choice. I was spending a little bit of time over the weekend with a friend of mine who happens to be a firefighter, and talking to him. Of course, he asked about my job, and I asked about his, and we talked about his situation. And not to knock what he does, my hat goes off. I have the utmost respect for what he does, but I just kept thinking through the whole conversation about how little control he has over his schedule, his pay, who he works for, what calls come in, and I just thought, man, I love the idea of what I do, because I have so much control. If I initiate it, right? If I take it, I have so much control over what I do, and more importantly, my attitude about it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. It is a fantastic profession.
It really is. It really is. Thank you for bringing positivity to the field, Jamie Owen. ClevelandAppraisalblog.com and Home Value Stories on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, iTunes, all of that fun stuff, right, Jamie?
Yeah, you can find me any of those places, or you could just go to Cleveland Appraisal Blog and listen there if you want.
So. Jamie mentioned the All-Star team, and just a shout out to those of you who are considering joining the team. What a great opportunity to be surrounded by positive appraisers and get the kind of education and skill sets that you need by collaborating with other positive and great appraisers. Jamie Owen, thank you for joining us. Thank you, listeners, and we will catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.